agent Steve. How are you doing, mate?
I'm fine. How are you, Barnaby?
Do you know what? I think it shows where Tottenham are in that I'm pretty happy with the point.
Well, yeah, I mean, to be quite honest, after the first half, I was thinking, here we go again. And then especially when we went a goal down, I thought, this is it. Another couple are going to go in. But for the first time, for a long time, I think we showed some grit and determination. And for a spell for about 20 minutes in the second half, we looked by far the better side. But then we had those last dodgy 10 minutes that we always seem to have in games. But I think at the end of the day, a draw was a fair result, to be quite honest.
Yeah, and Steve, we're only like 20 days away from the transfer deadline. What do you think Tottenham need this January? And do you think the club will spend the money needed?
Well, the club always spends the money, but it doesn't always spend it in the right way. The thing with Ange is he's got one way of playing. We all know that, and he isn't going to change. Now, the system of play we play, there's only 2 or 3 people or players that feel comfortable with that. So we desperately need to get players that can play to that system. Then hopefully we'll slowly progress, because I'm not in favour of getting a new manager. History has proven over the years with Ferguson, Wenger, Klopp, they take 2 to 3 years before the team starts progressing.
Yeah, that is correct. That has been proven. Let's just go into some of the comments as we go. This is a good one, I think, from Mace 106. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. Is that a good analogy for Ange's stubbornness at the moment? Or would you, Steve, say that it is the injuries that is killing his league, the league this season for Spurs?
Personally, I think it's a bit of both. He is stubborn. He's not going to change his ways. And to be quite honest, we have been very, very, very unlucky with injuries. I do question our training methods, because we seem to be getting the same injuries, calf strains and hamstrings, and no other club seems to get as many of them kind of injuries as what we do.
Yeah, I was saying earlier this show that's and actually earlier this week on my channel, my big worry for Ange is about the injuries and the training, because it can't be coincidence. And you know, if you can't get the players on the pitch, then and you're losing games, you will end up getting sacked. Fred said, with the way Ange wants to play, it's too much to play. I said that already, sorry. Tim C, why isn't Spence getting any game time when we're short on defenders? Our wing-backs aren't working defensively. Well, I would answer that. He's not in the European squad, so he couldn't play tonight, Tim. But, Steve, would you be looking at someone like Jed Spence to come in against Southampton to try and ease some of the load on Porro or Udogie?
Definitely. I think as good as Porro is going forward, defensively he lacks. And there are games when constantly teams are coming down his half of the pitch and he's nowhere to be seen. And Spence, when he has played, he's looked reasonably comfortable. And I do think it's about time that we did give him a run of games to see if he's going to progress or not.
Steve, let me ask you a question. You're clearly a man who's a bit older like I am. Why was it, Steve? Why was it that I got more excited in the second half today when we suddenly, it felt like he'd made those substitutions. It felt like we were playing a bit of football in the central midfield. I got more excited by that kind of 10, 15-minute spell than I did the first 15 minutes against Chelsea, when I was so sure that we would still lose even though we were 2-0 up. Is that just what it's like being a Spurs fan of many years?
It certainly is. You know, I've been through the good times and bad times. And I firmly believe that the good times are not far away. If we stick with Ange, get the players that he requires, I do think that we will progress. The last thing we need is a change of manager, because we bought all these players for the future. But if we get a change of manager, they might not be the players he wants, and they'll be gone.
Yeah, I agree.
So, I'm pretty confident that if we stick with him, get the right players, we should be okay.
Okay, Steve, and obviously we've got the game against Southampton the week, but I want to go forward a week to the Carabao Cup game against Manchester United. That I think is going to be huge for Ange's future. Can we get a result?
Definitely. I believe I've just got a feeling that we're going to beat Manchester United, and it would not surprise me in the least if we get to the final. Whether we win it, that's another thing, but I'm pretty confident that we're going to get to the final.
Love the sound of that, Steve. Thank you so much for calling in. Let's speak
You're
again
welcome.
after a future game, and come
Thanks,
on, you
Barnaby.
Spurs. Top man.
Take care, mate. Bye.
And you, mate. Bye.